Hello everybody, welcome for a new episode of the Bestiary of Terebia, and today I will talk to you about the shadows. So, what is a shadow? As you can see, is a shadow. Yes, it's very clear. It's an elementary. It's considered as an elementary, and its rank number is 1, so it's pretty inoffensive. There is no advice for a reason we will see a bit later. And also, they don't have a purity scale for the Puritans for the same reason. So here we have the position on the triangle of Wulfric. And now I will talk to you about their history in Terebia. In fact, you can find shadows everywhere in Terebia. It consists generally of warriors or victims of murders, which let a mark on Terebia. Before to die, they just let a mark. And so you can have high concentrations of shadows in, for example, a battlefield, in place of massacre, for example, in prisons also. And in fact, the shadows are completely inoffensive. They can't physically interact with people, but they are something like a relic of an ancient life, for example. And with the time, they can disappear. One of the biggest concentration of shadows in Terebia is at the place named the Battle of Ilvazi. So it's a very old battle between two kingdoms. So the kingdom of Vishgavor and the kingdom of Varleberia. There were 21,000 of soldiers and 10 or 11 thousands of dead. So it's a very bloody battle, especially if you consider the number with the number of soldiers. For example, the army of the Varleberia kingdom was completely destroyed, and because of that, in fact, imagine a victim of murder. If he dies alone, have a little probability to become a shadow. But in a biggest battle, especially if, like Ilvazi, one side is particularly touched by dead, the probability is very high. And it's why you have a big number of shadows in that place. And also in prisons or place of executions. In fact, in every place in which you can find a lot of dead in a little area, in fact. Now, the shadow have many categories. In fact, you have three possibility. If the shadows can only be felt by the sound, so you can't see it, but it will make sound. Like for example, if you was a worker, the sound he made during the last moment of his life, the image. So it will be an image of the shadow, and the sound and the image. So you have the idea. Also, if you have a reaction or not. If the shadow don't have any reaction, he will just ignore everything around him. For example, generally, it's the shadows which disappear the first. After you have a limited reaction, like for example, if the shadow see you, it can make a salute. Yes, it can just make a salute, but nothing more. So the lifetime of these shadows are a bit longer, but it stays short. So for the no reaction is 1 or 2 years. For the limited reaction, it will be more 5, 6, and sometimes 10 years, but not really most. For a function reaction, so for example, it's the case, for example, of a guard of a soldier during a battle. It will react to the people around him as a soldier, but it will not be able to talk of something else. For example, in the Battle of Yelsavi, if you meet a captain as a shadow, he will be able to talk to you about the strategy of the battle, the number of men, uh, the victory, the possibility of victory, or something like that. But he will not be able to talk about his family or the history of his kingdom, or it can just talk about the battle and the time before, because after he can't see that. And also, they can't learn. For example, if you see a shadow and you say, hello, my name is, I don't know, potatoes, and if one day later you come back, you will have forgot that. In fact, he can't learn anything from a new area. You have just the memories of the ancient area, his area. So, and finally, you have the discussion, possibility of a discussion. So it's a shadows which can't learn like the others, but which can talk about everything he knows during his life. For example, he can speak about his family, about his king, about his job, and it can be very interesting to learn something about the past. And also, the shadows didn't know they are dead. For them, for example, if you die as a shadow uh, in 1 year, for you it will be forever the day or the year in which you died. For example, for the soldiers of the battle of Yesalvi, they all the years they stay in the place of their encampment, and they only move to go in the place of the battle. At this point, they disappear, and when the battle ends, in fact, they reappear in the camps. So it's that. And so for the function reaction, the lifetime is 10, 20, 30 years for the longer, and for the discussion it's 50 or 200 or 300 years. But sometimes you have a witch which can send energy to the shadow. With our magic, they can add energy to the shadows, and it's why sometimes we'll have shadows or 5, 6, or 700. Generally, and not years, of course. Generally, it's used by the witch, for example, to scare the population and stay quiet. Or, for example, to keep information. For example, in the Battle of Fisalvi, some witches wanted to keep some information because they found it that interesting, and so they with my magic they send energy to the shadows because it have an interest for the history of Terebia, for example. Now, what is the relation of the scarecrow orders with the shadows? In fact, there is no relation because the shadows are not very dangerous, it's impossible to make them disappear except in waiting. So they didn't pretend to have a relation or to have orders for against the shadows. They just ignore them because there is nothing to do for them with the shadows. So it's everything you had to know for the with the shadows. I hope you enjoyed that video. Sorry. For the next episode, you can choose between the Darkfly, the Goblin, or the Tzian. And back to the next episode.